Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be making a zucchini lasagna, which kind of turns into a zucchini lasagna soup. It really is delicious, and it's a great option if you're trying to pack in a lot of nutrients, higher protein, and it's a great option if you're just not feeling pasta for that night. So you're going to start off by adding a little bit of oil to a Dutch oven or a pan or a pot, whatever you're going to use. And then I did 1 pound of turkey and 1 pound of lean ground beef. I really like that combination when it comes to flavor and just reducing a little bit of the fat content by using the lean turkey and not just all ground beef. Now, one thing you do want to prepare in advance, you can do it if you want your sauce to actually sit and develop all the flavor. You can kind of do it all together. That's what I do. But you are going to want to give yourself a good 40 minutes to do this next step. Honestly, the longer that it can sit in the salt, within reason, the better I think it would actually turn out as far as the soupiness. So you're going to wash and clean your zucchini and then cut it into thin strips. You can use a mandolin here if you want. I don't. I just use my knife and I just try to be very careful, but you want to have pretty evenly cut strips of zucchini, and we're going to lay it out and let it sweat, and that essentially means just adding salt to it and then letting it sit so that the water can draw out of the zucchini. That's the biggest thing that kind of turns these zucchini and eggplant pastas into what I kind of consider soup is just because there's so much water content in zucchini. Now, it may feel like you're over salting, but you really want to salt it generously so it will pull the water out. Now, I only had about 30 minutes to let this sit, so you'll see that my pasta dish did turn out kind of soupy, but if you have like an hour to let it sit and sweat, the better it's going to be. So after my meat had browned, I went ahead and drained it just to get any excess fat out of it. And then I added 4 onion pucks, which is just pureed onions that I freeze into ice cube trays. That makes it easy for me to add, to any dish. So I just get that mixed in, let that start cooking down. And you want to salt and pepper kind of as you go, just based on your preference and taste. So then I diced up some garlic, added that. And really what we're making here is a meat sauce, and this is going to be the meat sauce that goes into the lasagna. And then I had a friend ask me about this flat wooden spatula I use. I just get it off of Amazon. I love it so much. I use it all the time. It is the one I grab when I need something. So next step, we're going to add the tomato sauce, and I just used a can of tomato puree that my mom had actually canned, and then also a can from Costco that was a little bit thicker. You can really use whatever you want here, diced tomatoes. You can go as chunky as you want. I stick with the puree because that's just what I like. And then, like I said, you want salt and pepper to taste as you go along. But this really is a quick and easy tomato sauce to make. I do add some Italian seasoning just to taste. And I'm going to write the recipe as best I can below. I eyeball this, but I will write it as I can. And then that was sugar that I added as well. You really want some sugar to cut the acidity. You can use monk fruit if you like. I have started incorporating just plain sugar because you really don't use that much. Now for one of my favorite protein hacks. I have started making this cottage cheese ricotta type filling to use in spaghettis, lasagnas, anything Italian like that. I have to say it's pretty good, and it does pack a pretty decent protein punch if you are trying to up your protein intake. So all I do here is add a decent amount of cottage cheese, probably a cup and a half, and then I just shred some Parmesan into the cottage cheese. Now you can throw this into a blender if you really want the cottage cheese to be super smooth and almost do like a whipped cottage cheese. I don't do it because it really doesn't bother me to have it a little bit chunkier. It kind of melts down, but that is an option, especially if you're putting it on top of spaghetti or in some way, you're not cooking it. Then I add a little bit of Italian seasoning and then lemon juice. I just squeeze some lemon into it and give it that acidity, and I'm telling you, this creates such a delicious cheese filling. It really is a hack, and if you don't try anything from this video, I really would suggest trying this if you like Italian food. It's a game changer. My sister loves it too. We make it pretty much every time we're doing anything Italian. And then I needed to grate some mozzarella, because what is an Italian dish if you don't throw some mozzarella in there? So just grated that up so I could easily spread it, you know, when I needed to. And this cheese grater, I've shown it before, it is so convenient. I do have to keep clicking it to suction it to the bottom of my countertop, but that only takes a second. It's not that big of a deal, but it has made my life so much easier. Now I do want to show you the zucchini. You can see the little sweat bubbles where it's pulling the moisture out. And then I just take a paper towel and really press it down to get as much of the moisture out as I can. Like I said, I did not have the time to let this sit as long as I would have liked. However, just squeeze as much water out as you can. Then it's time to start putting the dish together. So you just take a casserole dish. Mine was a little bit smaller than I probably should have used, but it's fine. It all works out. You bake it and you eat it and it's great. But anyway, you're just gonna get a casserole dish and you're gonna put a layer of sauce, and then you're going to put a layer of zucchini. And it really is just a layering process. Then I put a layer of my cottage cheese filling. If you decide to use like a ricotta, you absolutely can do that. Any type of cheese filling that you want to add here. But you're just going to put that in there, spread it around, and then a little bit of mozzarella on top, and you're just going to keep layering. So once you put the mozzarella, you do another layer of sauce. Now my sauce could have cooked down a little bit as well. You really could thicken this up a lot more than I did. Like I said, I didn't have a ton of time on this day, and it is what it is. So you're gonna add your layer of sauce, another layer of zucchini. And I also will say about the zucchini, the thinner the slices, the easier I think it is to, you know, layer it and make sure that it's not a super high water content. But if you don't mind the water content, obviously the thicker slices are gonna give you a little bit more substance to the zucchini portion, you know, of the lasagna. Now, before I started putting everything together, I did preheat my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Celsius, just so that the oven was getting ready for baking. And then you want to bake this for about 40-45 minutes, and then you can always broil it a little bit if it hasn't darkened up on top. Now, like any good lasagna, we're just going to put a quick layer of cheese on the top, so when it bakes, it just has that nice cheesy top. And I wanted to show this little bowl from Pampered Chef. It's a 2-cup mixing bowl with a lid, and it has just been wonderful, so I wanted to show you. So then I'm going to put my lasagna into the oven, and like I said, at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Celsius for roughly 40 to 45 minutes. I did put some tin foil under it just in case it boiled over because of the water content. Now really quickly, I do want to show these. These are the little protection tabs that come with your Le Creuset pots or with a lot of Dutch ovens. A lot of people throw them away, but I like to keep mine, and that's how I protect my pots when I keep the lids on top. It's not necessary, but I like the extra protection, so I thought I'd show you. So then it was time to pull the lasagna out, and as you can see, it's very bubbly, very watery. I'm going to link a recipe I have not tried, but it did get decent reviews, and it says that it's not a watery recipe. However, if you cook your sauce down really thick and you let your zucchini sweat for a decent amount of time, you're not going to have as big of an issue, you know, with that. But I will link that recipe below along with all the details that, you know, how I did this. You just had to eat it with a spoon. But like I said, it turned out delicious tasting. It's high protein, great nutrients from the zucchini. My sister loved it also. You know, I think the biggest takeaway is just make sure that you have enough time to really let it sweat down and to really cook your sauce down. But if you try this, I hope you enjoy.